ever heard about this particular food in Korea? What about abroad? Join us in our journey as we uncover where these interesting gourmets come from around the world with our one and only Chef Matt in the studio. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
It's been a while.
오랜만이에요.
그러니까요. 어떻게 잘 지내셨나요?
Yes. Something felt missing, but now things feel right again. 정말 추석 조금 일찍 시작한 느낌이에요. It feels like I'm seeing an old relative now.
Yeah, 맞아요. 3주 됐는데 It's been a while, but it's good to have you back. Or it's good to have me back, I should say.
I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, mud here. All right, well, we are coming up to Chuseok. Do you have any Chuseok plans?
Just the usual. Food with my family, food with my wife's family, lots of driving, lots of small talk, and then luckily 올해는 there's 개천절 on the Tuesday following. So normally I need a week to recover from the holiday week.
맞아요.
But I should be able to start next Wednesday fresh after those extra 2 days.
Hopefully. So how is the course going to be? 시댁이 먼저인가요? 아니면 okay.
Yeah. So it's a little bit easier because I live in the same building as my mom.
Right.
She lives on the 5th floor of my building,
That's
always
right.
watching down on me.
Yeah.
And then next morning, making the drive over to Gangwon-do.
Okay. Well, Gangwon-do's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but honestly, going anywhere is...
That's right. 맞아요. 강원도도 그렇게 막 먼 길은 아니지만 추석 때는
맞아요.
어디든 굉장히 막힐 것
일단
같아요.
준비해야 될 거는 the day before 일단 요가를 많이 해야 될 것 같아요.
맞아요. 스트레칭을 하고 워밍업을 해야 되는 운전 조심하시길 바랍니다. For everybody out there driving as well, drive safe. Take some breaks as well because your legs and your toes are probably asking for it right now.
Absolutely.
All right, so holiday season is upon us, which brings us to our topic as well.
That's right. We're not the only ones celebrating this autumn. There are places all around the world, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about different autumn festivals around the world.
분위기가 있잖아요.
맞아요. I think there's a reason why you see it in every country, just about, at least in the northern hemisphere, because things are flipped once you go down south.
Right.
But this is the time of year when we're kind of seeing the fruits of summer.
Yeah, definitely. Literally as well. And so exciting. The autumn festivals, the what would you call them? The harvest holidays are upon us. We have October coming up for Canada, and then when's ours? The U.S. is in November as well, and then it's New Year's.
Well, now that you've given away the answer, here's the question today.
Excuse me. Oh my God! Oh no!
So what comes first, Canadian or American Thanksgiving?
If you didn't hear what I heard or what I said, 두 가지 중 어떤 것이 더 먼저일까요? 미국의 추수감사절, 카나다의 추수감사절.
I think this is actually, we can give thanks to this question because now we know who's really listening and who's not.
That's true. 여러분, 샵 1013으로 문자 보내주시길 바랍니다. 정답을 드리긴 했지만 안 들으실 분도 있을 거고, but maybe you guys are just great listeners and you know about it already. But in any case, Thanksgiving is upon us. I guess in Korea, people call Chuseok the Korean Thanksgiving as well.
Right, because they're kind of similar. Both of them are based in the idea of like an autumn harvest. And we also share this holiday with other countries in Asia that follow the lunar calendar as well. And we have foods here in Korea that are very specific to the Chuseok season.
That's right.
And I think the one that is the most emblematic of Chuseok itself is 송편, I would say.
맞아요. So good.
Korea, we have like this idea of like 명절 음식, right? Like the idea that there's kind of like the set idea of holiday food.
You have to.
But 송편 is the one that is very unique to Chuseok.
Ah, 그래. Do we not have this in New Year's?
We do, but it's definitely more emblematic of Chuseok holiday. Yeah, it's kind of like you can have a turkey at Christmas, but it's much more like that Thanksgiving 느낌 to it.
I like it. All right. Style of 떡, right? 송편. But it has a specific type of filling. But is that like is one 송편 and one not if they have like one filling over the other?
Good question. No, they are all 송편.
Okay.
It's more to do with the style of tteok and the shape that it's in.
I
So regionally, you'll have different styles of 송편, although the sesame is the one that's the most common.
Yes.
Yeah, it's sesame and honey. And then sometimes you'll have things like pam, chestnut, 대추, jujube.
Oh, 대추 그래요?
And then you'll have pat as well, and then you have 콩. You'll just have kind of like a so it's like a white bean rather than a red bean, and they can be in a variety of colors. Pink, green, and white though are the kind of traditional trifecta of colors.
I remember when we had some family come over from the U.S. 처음으로 외국으로 나가는 친척들이 있었어요. 그래서 한국에 오니까 이제 극과 극인 사람들이 있어요. 어떤 분들은 이제 외국이 두려우고, 한국 음식을 그냥 두려워하시는 분들도 있고, 어떤 분들이 검색해가지고 어떤 게 맛있는 거를 찾아가지고 제 친척이 떡을 먹고 싶대요.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, and so she had some 송편 and she liked it and she wanted to bring it home. But that's just the most unfortunate part of 떡. 왜냐면 떡은 신선해야 맛있잖아요. 하루 지나면 또 상할 수도 있으니까.
맞아요. Yeah, like especially like the softer tteok, they can ferment overnight.
Right. And so it just goes bad. And nowadays they have like 냉장고 떡 or 냉동실 떡 where you freeze it and then if you take it out and defrost it, it becomes so 쫄깃쫄깃.
Sure.
It's just not the same.
It's not the same. I mean, they're good in their own ways. But 송편 and that particular texture and that flavor that is so reminiscent of 추석, it can't be replicated in a kind of preserved form.
Yeah, 그래서 이제 교포분들도 이제 한국인인데 해외에서 사시는 분들도 많이 그리우는 음식이 떡이에요.
맞아요.
Yeah, 우리 이모도 싱가포르에서 사는데 항상 늘 저희가 가도 이모가 와도 떡을 제일 먼저 그리고.
맞아요. It's tough because it's tricky to make and it's very difficult to make. So not only is it complicated, it's also hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and because 손이 많이 가고 복잡하고, and in a lot of cases you need ingredients that are sometimes hard to find as well.
Yeah, and if you're not part of like this big, 한인 community like in LA, Atlanta, or New York, it's going to be hard to come across these. I would say that it's quite a delicacy here in Korea to have rice cakes.
Yeah, and it is a community thing. Like this is something that you can sit down with friends and family for hours and just kind of talk and more often complain about things together. And it just becomes like it becomes a communal activity. And it's probably one of my earliest memories is trying to join the tteok making circle with my extended family as a kid.
Always fun. 송편, 추석의 1위라고 볼 수는 있는데요.
Right.
I guess the top dish of 추석 would be 떡. All right, next up.
전 is probably the top dish, the top like overall 명절 dish.
맞아요.
It's probably because of how many people it takes to get like the assembly line going.
Right.
You're frying, so the smell takes over the entire house, and it just smells so inviting and wonderful.
맞아요.
You have so many different varieties, and it's one that's opposite of tteok in the sense that this one stays good.
It's true.
For a day or two.
If not better.
I think 전 tastes better at room temperature.
It's kind of like pizza.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
그래서 저희도 최근에 문어전을 먹었는데요. Actually, it wasn't even 문어. It was a place that was famous for their 문어. But then we ordered like the 해산물 파전을 시켰는데 문어가 너무 큰 거예요. And so I thought, 어쩔 때는 문어가 크면 너무 텁텁하고 그렇잖아요.
Sure.
It was so 쫄깃쫄깃. It was so delicious. 그래서 처음으로 왕 문어전을 먹었는데
I've
너무
never
맛있어요.
even heard of it, but now I feel like I have to make it.
Yes.
근데 맞아요. 텁텁할 수도 있죠. Like so, if you've ever had improperly cooked octopus, it kind of, in this case, would refer to kind of like that chalky kind of texture that it
good
gets.
word,
Kind of, it becomes kind of chalky and fibery, and
not tasty.
Octopus is tricky because it's one of those things where you cook for 1 minute or 1 hour and nothing in between.
Oh, 그래요? What happens when you cook it for 1 hour?
So then it becomes really, really soft, almost like 도가니. Like it kind of like melt in your mouth, like, really, really soft.
I'll have to try that sometime. Or maybe you can try it and then invite me over. I don't trust myself. 전 너무 맛있죠. Of course, we talked about 부침개 as well. It's now I know. It's just based on the different regions, what they call it.
Yep. And so 전, just as a kind of refresher for our longtime listeners, 전 can refer to both the small bite-sized kind of battered individual bites, or can refer to the large pancake around the holidays. The former is generally what we're talking about. You have your basic types like 호박, 새우, 생선전, 굴전. 굴전 not so much for 추석 because it's still a little early for oysters.
I see. More of a winter.
More wintry,
okay.
yeah. 완자, 육전. 육전, I think, is our family's favorite. What's your family favorite?
I like 호박.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm not I don't like the meat 전. I don't like the 육전, and sometimes there's still 뼈, there's still bones in the 생선전, so I stay away from that as well. But a good old, my 할머니 made it, and so it's so nostalgic to have that zucchini 전. Just so tasty, and you have to have a little bit of gochu on top.
Yes.
It's the icing on the cake, really.
It really is. It's almost like the savory version of icing.
Yeah, it's 날카로운 맛을 꽉 잡잖아요. All right, we have 송편, 전, all talking about 추석 dishes. Let us know what are your favorites. 여러분의 최애 추석 음식 또는 제일 기대되는 추석 음식 뭘까요? 샵 1014으로 문자 보내주시길 바랍니다. Here's Michael Bublé, Home. Michael Bublé, Home. Hope you guys are enduring and enjoying the ride home, whether you're on the train, the KTX, the subway, the bus, or you're driving in the traffic. Hope we can keep you company as we talk about some 추석 dishes. Hopefully you guys ate some dinner because this episode will get you a little bit hungry. So 송편도 너무 맛있는 추석 메뉴이고요. 전도 역시 뺄 수 없죠. Of course, next up, we have the main entree를 살펴봐야 되죠.
Right, and I think this is the one that's kind of like the one that's the really big crowd pleaser. And I don't know when the kind of shift happened that 갈비찜 became sort of like the de facto, centerpiece of the 명절 table.
갈비찜은 어딜 가나 and I think 누가 먹던 it's just a success. 대박이에요.
Right? Yeah. As long as if you squint your eyes and it's the basic shape of 갈비찜, it's going to taste at least all right.
That's true. And you go to weddings and it's kind of like the main. You go to even funerals, it's the main.
Sure.
Holidays as well. But it's just a crowd pleaser. No matter who eats it, wherever they're from. I mean, 갈비 is just ribs. It's pretty universal.
Well, what's beautiful and so smart about it is that because it's a 찜, it's braised, right? It's something that can sit for a while and not 식어도 괜찮고.
Right.
따끈할 때 먹어도 괜찮고. You don't have to let it rest. You can, and it doesn't dry out like a big roasted meat does. It's so good for something that stays on the table for a long time.
Yeah, I remember going to a restaurant and actually ordering 갈비찜 because usually you have it at parties.
I was going to say I don't know. I've never seen it. I mean, I've seen it on the menu. I don't think I've ever seen anyone order 갈비찜.
Right? 원래는 이런 행사나 결혼식만 먹잖아요. 막 시키는 분들 별로 없을 것 같은데 한 번은 너무 먹고 싶어가지고 시켰는데 너무 비싸더라고요.
Sure.
Super expensive. 근데 맛있긴 맛있더라고요. It was in 인사동에 갔는데 안국역에 약간 매콤해가지고 it's a little bit spicy, making my mouth water as I talk about it. But it's got all the great flavors in it.
It really does. What's your favorite part of it? What's your favorite vegetable that goes into it?
Oh,
This is a contentious one.
really like carrots in there.
Me too. I'm a big fan of the 당근 that goes into it.
I'm not a big potato fan in general. So I would stay clear from the potato, but 감자는 별로이고 당근이 진짜 맛있더라고요. With the sauces. Palm? I don't think I've ever had palm.
You never had palm?
If I did, then there's probably only like 2 in there, and the people that I'm eating it with always takes it.
See, that's why, like, you always have to add extra palm
맞아요.
to your 갈비찜.
항상 모자라. There's also mushrooms in there as well. 빼놓을 수 없죠. 갈비찜 뭐 여러 가지가 있는데요. 그렇다면 미국 쪽에서는 Thanksgiving이 있잖아요.
That's right. So there's Thanksgiving, it's also known as 추수감사절, and there the main dish is turkey.
맞아요.
And that's because turkey is indigenous to the Americas, to the American continent.
북미.
Mm-hmm. And so the idea of Thanksgiving kind of goes back to colonial times. It's kind of tricky, and it wasn't always a holiday. There was kind of this image of the pilgrims shaking hands with the Native Americans.
Right.
And it wasn't quite that. The first Thanksgiving, most likely, they ate things like oysters and lobster rather than turkey. Turkeys, turkeys back then were a very lean and angry wild bird. Today's turkey is very, very different from a wild turkey.
Sure.
But it's also celebrated in Canada, and it's very similar, although it's also kind of Canadian. In general, people will say that Canadian Thanksgiving is kind of like the difference between Canada and America. They make a little less of a fuss about it. There are fewer parades. It's a little bit more relaxed. Unfortunately, it's not a public holiday in Canada, which is probably the one downside I think Canadians have with Canadian Thanksgiving is that they don't get the day off.
빨간 날이어야 되는데.
맞아요. So only in the eastern states will you have some workplaces that take Thanksgiving off. Generally, though, they don't. And yeah, it's just kind of a time to have a quiet turkey dinner. And just gather. It's not the entire ordeal that it is in the United States.
I guess the reason why 미국 같은 경우는 it becomes like a 큰 행사 almost is because 뭐 쇼핑을 하고 싶어서 그렇지 않을까.
That is the really strange thing. Thanksgiving is not a global holiday by any, but Black Friday somehow has become global.
Right.
So, 여러분, if you're not aware of the origins of Black Friday, it's because Thanksgiving is on a Thursday.
Right.
And so Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. It's a huge shopping day, a day where a lot of retail stores will have huge sales. There have been lines and fights and riots in some of these stores. And partially one of the reasons why the day after Thanksgiving is such a good shopping day is because you have all the families that have gathered and they've just eaten this big meal and they don't want to hang out in the house all day long.
Nothing else to do. Let's go to the mall.
Let's go to the mall and let's turn shopping into a combat sport.
Combat sport into wrestling. Why not? I mean, it's a great scheme that the marketers and advertisers and whoever's in charge of making Black Friday such an ordeal that it makes people just open up their wallets unconditionally.
Brilliant. And that's the sad thing is just that it's not turkey and stuffing and gravy that's gone global. It's Black Friday. So, I remember I did a commercial for a shopping platform in Indonesia.
Oh, wow.
And this shopping platform did a Black Friday sale. It wasn't on the day after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
There's no need to time it to that.
Right.
But the term Black Friday has become universal now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Hopefully you can get a good deal. It's supposed to also kickstart your Christmas shopping as well. So it's always fun to get the best deals when it comes to even furniture, tech gadgets, and all that kind of stuff.
Actually, that's a good point. One thing I realized is a very American thing is to use one holiday to mark the beginning of another holiday. So the Christmas shopping happens the day after Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving preparation kind of happens right after Halloween does.
Right.
Yeah, and so
맞아요.
all these holidays, boom, 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 kind of one after the other, the marketing machine starts turning.
It does. I mean, it's in the air. I even feel it, and I'm like oceans across from it. But it's just so much fun to step into living in Korea. Then September kicks off the holiday seasons, and then you got Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, and then I guess not so much Valentine's, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the end of the holidays, but it's still so much fun if you can withstand the winter season with some love and some care and some good food with the good community around you, then It's worth living.
Absolutely. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
It's stuffing. Actually,
It is.
yeah, stuffing. I'm not a big fan of cranberry sauce, but it does add. It does give a little sweetness, a little sharpness to the munan or buttery.
The cranberry sauce is very good. I think there's a reason why we only have it at Thanksgiving, though. I mean, I think because it has to go with all the other items for it to make sense. But stuffing really is the best part.
Yeah.
Because it's bread and meat, because it gets you add the turkey yuksu into there.
Right, yeah. Oh, it's just so good. So hopefully you guys can focus on the good parts of holidays. It is with family. It is with getting some good grub on. It's okay if you gain a little pounds. We'll leave you guys with a quick song. Here is 여행 sketch, 집밥. Welcome back to 맛대맛 with Matthew here in the studio. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
We are celebrating Chuseok, kickstarting it off with some fun talk about the greatest foods any harvest season has ever seen. In Korea, we have amazing 갈비찜, 송편, 전 여러 가지가 있는데요. 여러분의 최애 추석 아이템, 추석 메뉴가 무엇인지 샵 1013으로 문자 보내주시길 바랍니다. Lots to look forward to this 추석 season. As we said, it is kind of sandwiched in between another holiday. Was it 개천절? Mm-hmm. So we've got a pretty long, basically a week, isn't it?
Yeah,
a
it's
week-long break.
6 days?
6 days.
6 days, yes.
There you
6
go.
days.
A lot to look forward to. Hope you guys can get some rest after all of this driving and eating. But we are here talking about some other festivals and holidays as well. 두 번째 question, 뭘까요?
So I want to know, where do they race bulls to celebrate the rice harvest?
Ooh, rice harvest. 쌀 추수를 축하하기 위해서 황소 레이스를 하는 곳이 있답니다. 이곳은 과연 어디일까요?
That's right. So it's a rice-growing nation, and that narrows it down somewhat.
I guess it does. But I mean, even in Italy, they have like risotto. So rice could be kind of, I don't know.
It's not Sweden. I guess we can. It's not. Yeah, we could probably narrow it down. Narrow that down.
Probably gonna say it's an Asian country, but then I mean, race bulls. I think about bulls. I think of Spain.
Right, the matadors.
Yeah, who knows? Well, let us know if you guys have your guesses or the answers. 쌀 추수를 축하하기 위해서 황소 레이스를 하는 곳이 있다고 합니다. 이곳은 과연 어디일까요? All right, let's get to some other festivals around the world to celebrate the autumn season.
So Germans seem to have a really fun time in the autumn. There are lots of things that happen in Germany in the autumn. And I think the one that's most well-known around the world is Oktoberfest.
Yes, of course. Who doesn't want to drink gallons of beer?
It seems very chaotic.
It does. And I just feel like I feel full just looking at these giant pints of beers that people are just, gulping down. 너무 배부를 것 같은데.
Have you seen those viral videos of those like small, tiny servers carrying like 12, 16 beers at a time?
Yes. I've seen one actually a fail, and it's quite a scene. But then people are like so festive. They're like, hey!
근데 그 같은 거 보면요 좀 불편해져요. Like I feel I feel secondhand embarrassment and shame, and like it feels bad to see any food being wasted.
That's true. I mean, so much beer is consumed. Quite a bit, I would assume, be wasted and then thrown up later as well. But in any case, 독일 같은 경우에는 Oktoberfest가 굉장히 유명하죠.
That's right. It's the world's largest Volksfest, world's largest folk festival.
Oh.
It's a beer festival and it's a carnival. It's held every year in Munich, which is in the Bavarian region of Germany. It runs in September, not in October.
그러니까요, 들었어요. Which I thought was like, wow, why do we call it Oktoberfest?
Well, it's interesting. So Oktoberfest has been around for over 200 years. And at one time it was in October. But as the Germans are famous for, they were very practical about it and realized if we do in September, the weather will be nicer.
맞아요.
and more people can come. That is literally the reason why they changed it.
그러네요.
It's so practical.
I was talking to a friend that I made who lives in Berlin, and she was saying lots of people 이제 in the fall season, 가을 되면 사람들이 막 찾아와요. 너무 베를린 너무 좋고 사랑스럽고 막 사랑에 빠져요. 근데 they don't know that Berlin or Germany in general has like 3 months of good weather, and then they have like 8 months of winter.
Oh, wow.
And then it's dark and it's gloomy, and it's just, a great place to travel to. But when you're there all throughout the year, it could be kind of down and depressing and gloomy.
Interesting. I never realized
저도 몰랐어요.
that there was so many seasons of dark, cloudy weather there. I guess in my mind, I'm not picturing Germany with like beach towels and parasols.
Yes.
But I didn't realize it was like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why 유럽에 가면은 맨몸으로 태닝하는 분들 있잖아요.
맞아요.
And even this time when I went, I just saw some naked men in public parks.
I guess if you only have 3 months of good weather, you want to take advantage of it as much as you can.
I think so. Get that vitamin D.
Yeah, you know what? That makes sense then why they have so many autumn festivals. It's like the last chance to really gather together and have a great time.
그러니까요.
So with Oktoberfest, it's so big. There are over 6 million international and national visitors that attend this event. That is crazy. 6 million. That's like half the population of Seoul.
그런가요?
Is there 12 million? No, there's more than 12 million
I
people.
think there's more, yeah.
Yeah, but that's like the size of some like small U.S. states.
Yes, that's right. That come all over the world and all over Germany as well, I assume.
Yes, and so it's been around for 200 years, over 200 years. In 2014, 7.7 million liters of beer were served.
Wow. That means that almost everyone had a beer. Everyone that went there. That means kids as well.
Well, yeah. I guess so with 6 million visitors, 7.7 million liters of beer. I assume maybe like 20% of them are kids.
Okay.
So that averages out to about 2 beers a person.
Okay. Wow.
Which makes sense because I think there's some people who have a quarter of a beer, and then there's some people who have 8 beers.
Sure.
And there's some people who you find passed down the bushes later on.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, talking about the backstory of Oktoberfest and then why it starts in September. So you said it started 200 years ago?
That's right. So 213 years ago. So it started in 1810, and it was held in honor of the marriage of Prince Ludwig and Therese of Saxe-Hildburghausen.
Yes.
And, so it's essentially a giant wedding party that they've been celebrating for 200 years.
That's cool.
And what's interesting is that in those 200 years, it was only canceled 24 times.
Oh.
And if you think about, just the history of any country over 200 years, lots of stuff happens, right? You have disease, war, famine, all sorts of things could happen that would get in the way. So the fact that they only canceled it 24 times is pretty big. Adidas, a German company, and I want to bring them by name because they are a German company. They showed a little bit of national pride by making vomit-proof sneakers. They were a limited edition sneaker that they made one year.
That's thoughtful, I should say.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Because it's a very unique festival only to Munich, not even to Germany or all of Germany. I'm sure that everyone celebrates. Even here in Korea, we have, Oktoberfest times when restaurants will, have a little, not a sale, but a Hangsa or whichever. But some people are really nitpicky about flavors, but also where it's brewed and that kind of stuff. So do they have their own pride when it comes to only German beer, or would they import, I don't know, Irish beer as well? Or?
I think you might be arrested if you tried to do that. Because not only do they limit it to just German beers, it's beers from Munich only. So only beers from that city. And it's a celebration of the beers from that area. the Germans are very, very strict about their beer. They have what's known as the purity laws of beer, the Reinheitsgebot. I believe I'm probably pronouncing that incorrectly. It basically states that beer can only have 4 ingredients: water, hops, malted barley, and yeast.
Okay. So do they go with like, I don't know, some people have like coffee, beer, or
Nope.
none of that kind of stuff?
No.
Sticking true to their colors.
True German beer through and
OG.
through. And same with the food. The food also tends to be very, very traditional at Oktoberfest.
Okay.
Lots of roast meats. And what's interesting is that the thing that Korea and Germany has in common is a love of 족발.
족발 맛있죠. 맥주랑 안주. It's the 찰떡궁합.
It really is. Yeah, it's because pork is fatty and crispy and smoky and juicy, and beer goes perfectly with that.
There you go.
They also have chicken, ducks, geese, veal, ox, and all sorts of meat. Although chicken is the most popular because, well, chicken is most popular everywhere.
Yeah, and if you have like some mustard or some pickled radish or any type of, vinegary sauce condiment, then you're pretty good. I'd say that's probably breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me.
There you go.
Honestly. Well, one more time. 쌀 추수를 축하하기 위하여 황소 레이스를 하는 곳이 있답니다. 이곳은 과연 어디일까요?
That's right. Where did they race bulls to celebrate the rice harvest?
Let us know if you have your answers or your guesses. Stick around, more to come. Here's Lucas Graham, Mama Said. Lucas Graham, Mama said to finish all of your food, which is also one thing as well because as adults, you're like, oh, I can't wait to have this and that and this and that. As a kid, I don't know for you, but for me, I was pretty picky. I didn't want to finish all of my food. Like now it's such a joy to eat.
Sure.
Back then, it was just such a chore. I don't want to eat. I just want to go and play.
That's exactly the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I saw it as a chore because I think I was very much like a puppy. I was very happy but dumb. So I didn't really know how to complain.
Innocent.
Yeah, so I would just instead run off and play and then go and have a bite and then I'd just run off and play.
Right.
So I think it God bless my parents. They had so much patience in just getting me to eat a full meal.
Yeah, which is so strange because I think nowadays I see kids and they chow down like everything, and I'm like, man, I was really a picky eater, or maybe it's just the food so much better these days, or
who knows?
In any case, our question of the day: 쌀 추수를 축하하기 위하여 황소 레이스를 하는 곳이 있답니다. 이곳은 과연 어디일까요?
That's right. Where did they race bulls to celebrate the rice harvest?
So it could be Asia just because of rice, but I am getting a little bit caught off guard because of the bulls. So I'm thinking some European country as well. Does it, meet in the middle like Turkey? But who knows? All right, talking about some festivals around the world for the autumn season. We had Oktoberfest, 추수감사절, and of course, Chuseok. What about some other places?
Well, I want to stick with Germany just for a little bit longer
Okay.
because I want to bring this thing up. It's the Tübingen duck race.
Tübingen duck race.
I don't know how you pronounce the U with the umlaut over it. Is it Tübingen?
I don't know.
In any case, it's a very small town in Germany. It's very interesting. It's in that 1 in 3 residents is a student. 그래서 그쪽 인구는 3분의 1이 그 학생입니다. But that's not the most interesting thing about this town. Every year since 1999, they float 7,000 rubber ducks on the river.
I thought it was like a real duck race.
No, that would be
More
loud.
chaotic.
That would be loud.
Yellow rubber ducks, that is so cute. And just a sight to see, I think it livens up the mood because I would imagine these like old towns to be a little more dark, more cement, paved, the what do you call those? Cobblestone roads and things like that. So to have a little bit of yellow, I would 7,000 yellow rubber ducks kind of livens up the mood.
Yeah, and I think I like your theory about the idea of only having 3 months of good weather, and it really does help give that splash of color before everything turns gray.
Yeah.
And so they race these rubber ducks, and the winner gets €1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, are there people who's
sponsoring this?
So apparently, like
The rubber duck company?
big businesses do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there are corporate duck racing specialists, and like companies will sponsor racers as well.
Really?
Yeah. Although I'm not sure if this is still a thing because the last article about this I found in 2019, and there's something about yellow rubber ducks that does feel kind of like peak 2000s energy.
Yeah, 맞아요.
It does feel very like in line with like dubstep. And cat
people
memes.
wearing boxes to clubs and things like that. Didn't we had an installation here in Korea too?
Like right, Chamshir, like right on the
맞아요.
river in Chamshir.
Yeah.
And instead of 7,000 ducks, there's one giant yellow duck.
Yeah. Why was that such a thing?
I think it's an artist or something who did it. I remember I went out of my way to see it, and I thought, cool.
Yeah.
I went on with my day.
Yeah. 여러 가지가 있네요. 진짜 여러 가지의 축제도 있는데요. 남미 같은 경우는 뭐가 또 있을까요?
Right. So I mentioned briefly that in the southern hemisphere, because the seasons are flipped, they have their harvest festival in March and April. In Brazil, they have a festival known as Seu.
Oh,
It's in
okay.
Curaçao, Brazil. If you bartend at all, you might know Curaçao from the blue liqueur, blue Curaçao. They use it in cocktails like the blue Hawaiian. If you have a blue cocktail, it has blue Curaçao in it.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's essentially it's an orange flavored liqueur. But they have a harvest festival. It's like Carnival, but harvesty.
Okay. That's a lot of fun.
Have you seen clips of like Brazilian Carnival?
No, I don't think so. But I've seen some carnival-esque. One of my friends is from Brazil, and so I just can imagine what type of festival it could be.
Feathers and feathers is kind of the big word, right? Like, the masks and the headdresses.
I kind of think of what's that, Mardi Gras.
Yeah. I think Carnival and Mardi Gras have kind of similar roots.
Okay.
In terms of the Easter-y kind of connotations to it. Carnival I think comes from carne, meat, and something to do with like the body of Christ. In any case, though, we're talking about the harvest festival Seu. It started in the 18th century, and it's very flashy, it's very showy, and like I mentioned before, headdresses. They have competitions to make the most beautiful head wraps.
Oh, fun. So that's kind of like even Dia de los Muertos. I don't know if that really does, go hand in hand with this, but because they have like full makeup, braids, like they just go all out with these costumes and things like that to celebrate. I just love when they have these types of traditions because it just gives you an excuse to go all out.
Yeah, I think the idea of everyone out in public parading together and just seeing who can outdo who.
Yeah.
That, it just sounds like so much fun.
A fun competition.
They have, they'll elect the Seu Queen and they'll have singing competition. It sounds like a blast.
Yeah. Oh, well, in any case, lots to look forward to in the upcoming months. Holiday season is upon us. Hopefully you guys can get some good grub, some good food, some good community, and some good love. Question being, 쌀 추수를 축하하기 위해서 황소 레이스를 하는 곳이 있답니다. 이곳은 과연 어디일까요?
That's right. Where did they race bulls to celebrate the rice harvest?
Drumroll, please.
Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Kind of all clicks now that if you think about it, right? Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, bulls takes you in one direction, rice takes you in another direction, and they both lead to Indonesia.
Yeah, it does make sense. Indonesia is where it's at. Maybe if you want to go eat some rice and see some bulls race, head over to Indonesia. Well, once again, 덕분에 너무 즐거운 시간을 보냈습니다. Chef Matt, we'll have to see you again next week.
See you then.
Have a great 추석, and we'll send you off with Limp Bizkit, Home Sweet Home. 여러분, 내일 봬요.